Finally, I get a chance to talk about the Aakman temple. So, hi my imaginary friends and welcome to what is hopefully going to be a video that will give you some form of insight about what you can expect to make out of grinding at the Aakman temple. I wouldn't really consider this test to be a full-fledged money per hour video like the usual ones, just because it is somewhat shorter than usual and it is split between grinding on my wizard and on my ranger, but still I am quite happy with the conclusion and hopefully you will be as well. So let's begin, I suppose. I'm first going to remind you, if you didn't see any of the previous videos, about the test details and my gear, which should be on the screen to make this somewhat faster. The most important part is that I have a Tet Xarka, a Tet Dandelion weapon for both my wizard and my ranger, a Tri Kutum at the time of testing this. Nowadays it is Tet, but back then it was Tri, and my pets, which not really that relevant because at the Aakman temple mobs don't die in one shot, so my pets, as they are 3 tier 3s, 1 tier 2 and 1 tier 1, it is more than enough to loot everything from the ground. So now let's talk about the actual test and what I got by grinding here. First off, I would like to remind you that this test started over 2 weeks ago, back when I was still playing Bless Online quite actively, and in between taking breaks from that, when I felt like getting some better graphics and more engaging combat, I would play Black Desert maybe 1 hour or so, and in that time grind the Aakman temple. Back then we still had the old scroll drop rates, before the developers changed the scroll drop rates for Valencia, and so as a result this test has 3 parts, the first one being the old test on my ranger, and then the other 2 are the ranger and wizard tests done after the developers changed the scroll drop rates. If you are watching this video when it is posted, then it was about 2 weeks ago I believe. If not, I will have the patch notes linked in the description anyway, so there's that. That being said, let's start with the first part, the old test, and move on from there. By the way, let me point this out now so I don't have to do it later. These are going to be the marketplace prices that I'm going to be using for all 3 tests. You can check them now if you want. If not, then just take the loot table that will be displayed at some point on the screen and apply your own marketplace values on it. I am playing on the Europe server. You may be playing on a different server and have different prices. So that being said, now we can move on and talk about the relevant part of this video. Let's start from the beginning with the old test, the one done over 2 weeks ago, which actually isn't exactly an old test because after the patch I get pretty much the same scroll drop rates, so maybe nothing was changed on the Aakman side, so meh. Anyway, this first test was done on my ranger, and as usual it started from Heidel. I intended to return back to Heidel, but in the end I couldn't. For this entire test, unlike my previous or other videos, I'm not going to be using at all the downtime. You can see it on the screen, it will be there, you can add it if you want, but since it takes quite a lot of time to find a portal in the desert, and then once you find the portal you have to gamble if the portal is going to give you an entrance to Aakman or to Histria, it can take quite a lot of time to get inside Aakman, and it's a lot of RNG if you get in within half an hour or more. So I will leave the downtime up to you if you want to use it or not. But for this test I actually came somewhat prepared. I brought with me a few Reaper elixirs to have HP drain, and the droughts, the ones that give also HP drain or drafts, however you pronounce them, because this was honestly my first time grinding Aakman Temple, and from what I knew in the past, it used to be a spot to grind in a party and not solo, and on top of that my ranger has no heals and potions weigh quite a lot, so I didn't want to have that much weight limit, so I was relying on those to have the HP recovery needed. Which actually, if you are a ranger, I would say get some of those with you because it will make grinding here a lot easier. Anyway, once I got inside, I didn't know any proper rotations, so I just simply stuck to the one you see on the screen, at least for this first part, and I grinded small sessions, not even 1 hour maximum for the longest one, because as I said, I was grinding maybe 1 hour a day Black Desert. I mean, I was playing Black Desert maybe 1 hour a day back when I was maining Bless Online. In the end, I got about 3 hours and 21 minutes of grind time for this first test, because after that much time my inventory was getting overweight and my armor was starting to break, and since you cannot get any mounts inside the Aakman temple, you kind of have to rely on either on maids, which I don't really have, or purely on your inventory weight limit to manage the trash items. So once you are overweight, you have to exit, go to the oasis, and you get the point. Once I go to the oasis, I repaired, I placed the items on my horse, and I took a, in quotation marks, break, because I intended to return the next day and continue. But that was on a Tuesday. The next day was Wednesday, and you pretty much can expect that next up came the maintenance and the supposedly change in the scroll drop rates for Valencia. So I decided it would be a good idea to stop this entire test, and if I feel like it, do a different one later on. From this first test, I got on average per hour about 1639 trash items on my ranger and about 3.28 scrolls per hour on average. The overall money per hour value was 19.9 millions per hour without including any downtime. I think the biggest attraction of this place is that, just like the Mansion Forest, you get most of your income from the trash items, and it is just simply pure silver. You don't have to sell a lot of stuff on the marketplace. I mean, you can sell the scrolls like I did, but most of the income is coming from the trash items. Also, this isn't really related to the test, but it is a funny mention. In this first part I did manage to die once, and I broke my one and only Gene Viper, so at that point I wasn't exactly... I didn't see the value in grinding Aakman Temple. And to be honest, even now I don't really... I'm not really a huge fan of Aakman Temple, because the 20 millions per hour is not amazing, especially since you are risking your precious gems to grind here, because it is quite easy to die. So anyway, let's move on. The second part is the one done also on my ranger, but after the supposedly increase or change in the scroll drop rates. This one is kind of short. Actually, if you don't include downtime, it's very short, just 1 hour and 21 minutes of grind time, so 1.5 hours. This one was kind of frustrating because it took me, I believe, over 5 attempts to enter into Aakman. I even started complaining into the guild chat and asked how do I enter Aakman, because I got Histria like 5 times in a row, and do the portals actually look different? But no, it's just simply RNG. And that's why I say that it can take you even more than half an hour just to enter the dungeon, like it took me on this second test. After this 1 hour and 21 minutes, also I should mention I grinded a different rotation. You can see it on the screen. I switched to actually what I believe to be a more efficient rotation this time, and the results are that I got about 19.7 millions per hour on average, which is pretty much the same as the previous test, but this time I got 1736 trash items per hour, which is slightly higher. It might be just luck of the drops, or because I changed the rotation, but anyway. And in terms of scrolls, I got about 3.37 scrolls per hour, which is pretty much identical, I would say, to the first test, and that's why I say that I don't really see the change in the scroll drop rates. There isn't really much else to say about this second part. It was very short, but I just simply got bored of grinding on my ranger. I decided that maybe Aakman is a better place for my wizard, because I know that wizards are better suited to grind monsters that don't get one-shotted, so I was hoping my wizard would actually get better results, and in fact it actually did. So let's move on to the third part, talk about the wizard test and see what I got from that one. I must admit that pretty much the main reason why I even tested this on my wizard was because it just so happened that I managed to finally pre-order the Tet Xarca for the wizard, so I was actually looking forward to testing him out and to grind on my wizard for a change instead of my ranger. So yeah, I picked up the wizard, transferred all of the gear. This time I didn't even bother to screenshot the downtime. It was just simply Aakman from start to end. The entire test was about 3 hours and 34 minutes in total. This is just the grind time. There is a little bit of downtime if you care about it on the screen, but adding up of the sessions, which again, as usual, small sessions, not even 1 hour each, I got in total about, let's say, almost 23 millions per hour, the overall money per hour value, and I got about 1980 trash items per hour, so almost 2000 trash items per hour, and about 3.6 scrolls per hour, slightly higher, but it could just simply be RNG. The wizard test, I actually did feel like I was grinding faster, and I forgot to mention, for all 3 of these tests I always had with me either Reaper elixirs or the droughts or drafts, whichever is the correct way to pronounce them, because the 3 HP recovery or whatever number of HP recovery per hit actually did help quite a lot. On my wizard I had no potions at all, or I think I had a few of them with me, but I never actually ended up using them, because of course my wizard has heals and so on. I tried to make use of my attack speed, or the casting speed I mean, buff on the wizard, and also the awakening buff. Just simply tried to grind somewhat fast, and in the end I would say getting 2000 trash items per hour is definitely better than what I got on my ranger. I will have to follow up with this on a totally different video to see if my wizard is indeed faster, or it's just simply, I don't know, some form of RNG. But yeah, it felt faster. I got 23 millions per hour. I still got no Tungrad earring at all from all of these tests, so this is just simply the drops without getting lucky enough to get the accessory drops. I did get 1 gem, 1 map on this third test, 13 scrolls in total, so I guess it's okay. As I said in the beginning, the main income comes from the trash items. The secondary one, I suppose, it's from selling the scrolls to the marketplace. Besides that, I guess you can just simply hope and pray that you get a Tungrad earring. And that's pretty much it. That's my experience with the Aakman temple. If I remember correctly, I'm not sure on this one, but I think I also died on my wizard once, and I revived, and I was lucky enough to actually, yeah, I'm pretty sure I died on the wizard once, and I was lucky enough to get no gems broken, and as a result I just simply continued grinding like nothing happened. But yeah, during this entire test I lost my Gene Viper. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to return to Aakman Temple in the future, just because 20 millions per hour or around that doesn't seem to be worth the risk of losing my gems. I'm going to probably in the future test Manshaums again, I have a very old video on that, but it's pretty much irrelevant these days, because I hear that you can expect to make a lot more than just 20 millions per hour at mushrooms after all of the recent patches. So this should be the end of the video. If I forgot something, please look on the comments. I will have a pinned comment with whatever I forget to talk about here. Thanks for watching, I hope this was helpful. If you feel like grinding Aakman Temple, go for it. It's a pretty quiet place. I didn't really see many people. Very rarely I would see a party of, actually I saw a couple of times parties of 2 people grinding in a duo. So maybe that's the proper way to do Aakman, not solo but duo. I just switched the channel once and it was fixed. The channel was empty, so it's not really a populated place. You have a quite decent chance of dying, and yeah, I don't want to repeat myself, so yeah. See you guys in a different video, and bye bye.